Welcome to Truckee Talks. We're back from our holiday hiatus, and today we're talking about the Great Woodstove Changeout Program. With me on the first half of the show are Jeff LeClaire from Mountain Home Center. Welcome, Jeff.
Thank you.
And Rod Hill from the Northern Sierra Air Quality Management District. Did I get that right? That's a mouthful. We have to stop inviting people onto the program that has such long titles. Rod, first off, let's talk a little bit about what the Changeout Program is and how it came to be.
Well, the Hearth Products Association is actually the sponsor of this program. That association is made up of wood stove manufacturers and retailers. And they've had programs all over the country, and Puget Sound is one, Boise, Idaho, and Denver, and other places. And what they do is they put together an incentive program where they give anywhere from 10% to 20% discounts off of the price of their stoves. And we decided to sweeten the pot a little bit by providing an incentive rebate of $250 per stove. We put a cap on that funding as $20,000, and that would mean about 80 stoves. And we're also looking for donations from other agencies and companies, and Sierra Pacific Industries has provided a donation of $7,500, which brings the total now up to 110 stoves.
Oh, that's great. Now let's talk a little bit. I want to back up just to make sure our audience is clear on this. This is an incentive program to change an existing older stove that doesn't meet current EPA standards.
That's correct. The requirement is that an old non-EPA certified stove is removed and replaced with either an EPA certified wood stove or something cleaner. For instance, natural gas, propane, or pellet stove, and possibly even a fuel oil stove.
Okay. And talk about where, if you will, the Northern Sierra Air Quality Management District is. Which 3 counties does that encompass?
We cover Plumas, Sierra, and Nevada counties. We're in a joint powers agreement with all 3 of those counties, so we're a special district that covers the air pollution control concerns for those 3 counties.
Okay. And what are the dates for the Great Woodstove Changeout Program?
It started yesterday,
January 15th.
15th,
Okay.
and it goes until February 28th.
Okay. All right. Jeff, let's bounce over to you for a minute. Now, there are a couple of different retailers, here in town that are offering this. Mountain Home Center and Truckee River Stoves. I'm not sure if I have the name right there. And we'll also have a list of retailers available on the screen so that people know who to contact. I'm interested in exchanging my old stove for a new stove. I walk into your store, what happens?
Basically, we'll go over what you do have. I can pretty much tell whether it's an EPA product or not by you describing what it is. You need to firstly purchase something to replace it, whether it be gas, wood, or a new EPA Phase 2 stove. We will then fill out the correct paperwork both with the town of Truckee, with the HPA, which is the Hearth Products Association, as well as get you going with the Air Quality District to get a voucher, etc. Then what we'd like to do past that is to do an estimate or go to your home just to see what you do have that it meets current codes and standards, etc.
Okay.
And then send you off to the building department to pull a permit so that the town of Truckee can sign it off so that everything is up and up.
Well, let's back up a little bit, Rod. What kind of qualifications are we looking for? There's certain criteria that people have to fit into in order to be eligible for these rebates?
Yes, correct. The main one is that you're changing out an old non-EPA certified stove and you're replacing it with something that's either EPA certified or cleaner. You have to get a building permit from whatever building department applies in your particular area. And you have to get a tracking form from the participating dealer that shows that the old stove was actually scrapped out. These old stoves must be destroyed. We're going to get them out of circulation for good.
Right, make sure they're not reused in another home. Okay.
And if people aren't willing to allow their stove to be scrapped out, then they will not qualify for our rebates.
So basically what they're doing now by contacting the town is signing themselves up on a list. They're not actually eligible for the rebates until they provide evidence that their old stove qualified, their new stove qualifies.
Correct. We'll send them a rebate voucher which holds their spot, since there's a limited number of rebates available. And then when they call in for the voucher, we'll ask them some screening questions to make sure we're not sending out vouchers to people who aren't going to qualify in the end. But if some slip through the cracks, and when they bring in their materials to claim their rebate, we'll be asking more questions at that point in time to make sure that they did get a building permit and that the change out actually did occur in Nevada, Plumas, and Sierra counties. We're not going to give rebates to somebody in Placer County or some other area outside of our district. They'll have to go to their own county to see if they can get an incentive from that county.
Are there other counties that are participating in programs that are like this, similar to this?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, this program's been offered all over Northern California right now. So the Sacramento Metropolitan Air Quality Management District is involved. Let's see, Calaveras, Tuolumne, El Dorado, Placer County, of course the Northern Sierra AQMD, Butte County, just about every air pollution control district in Northern California is participating.
So if somebody in a neighboring county wants information, they should at least contact their own county and find out if there's a program available to them.
Not all air districts do have incentive programs like ours, but a few of them do.
This is really a great opportunity for people who have the older stoves that may not, first of all, be as efficient, and Jeff, maybe you can speak to that, and also spewing out more pollution than we need. What kind of impact do you anticipate this will have on the air quality in Truckee or in the neighboring areas?
Well, of course, we're hoping that it has a significant impact, but the more stoves that get changed out, the better that's going to be. We have a real serious problem here in Truckee. It happens to have the worst air quality during the winter months of any area in our 3-county district. And so it's really important that we try to clean up the air. We're trying to keep this area in attainment of the national ambient air quality standards for particulate matter. And there have been some exceedances of those standards in the past, and this area is kind of teetering right at the edge of being what's called federal non-attainment, meaning they're not in attainment of the federal standards for particulate matter.
Right. I know on a previous show we had discussed that with Dwayne as far as particulate matter, the smoke, and the basin that we're in is particularly a problem because we trap that smoke right here,
Correct.
right over town, and it's not pretty, and we're breathing that as well.
Yeah, and what you're breathing there too is a complex mixture of toxins and carcinogens, and so you could, if you're breathing a lot of this, your health could be impacted. You could get cancer, you could have long-term chronic kinds of health issues that develop, and you could develop asthma and a number of other kinds of respiratory ailments if you're really exposed to high levels of this smoke.
Well, so much for the accusations of our shows only being warm and fuzzy. Jeff, how about that? What about the efficiency of the newer stoves? If somebody does the change out, takes advantage of some of these rebates, are they also going to be inclined to get a stove that might perform better for them, give them better heat, or?
Well, certainly the wood stove industry has done a tremendous job of cleaning up what has been available in the past. Anything pretty much pre-1982, the stoves were as high as 60 grams of smoke per hour and probably 45 to 55% efficiency. Today, with the technology, and that's catalytic and non-cat, they've really been able to get it less. A lot of the product is less than 7, and certainly a lot of it is less than 4 in terms of wood burning. Certainly if they change out to gas, it's going to give them a much cleaner product as well as a good heating source.
What about pellets? Where do they fall in terms of emissions?
Pellets, when they're tested in a lab facility, show good numbers. Field actuality, though, really shows them if the maintenance is not done on the units, the percentage of efficiency drops as well as particulate goes up. But they generally run in the 1 to, say, 6% in terms of grams of smoke that we spew into the atmosphere. So it's just one of those things, if you don't do the maintenance on it, we can get some different numbers, where stoves tend to, or at least the newer ones tend to, pretty much regulate what's been advertised from the manufacturer.
And of course, user is everything. The person behind the wood stove,
Yes.
how they load their wood, how they burn.
Not so much anymore, again, because the particulate really is on the low end of the burn. Most wood burning products, when they are burning hot, that particulate matter just doesn't occur. It's on the lower end, and that's where the testing is done and facilitated. So there's not a whole lot the user can do to the stoves today that will muck them up. They pretty much run quite well.
We can all try, though.
Or we can all try.
Rod, when you spoke earlier about the numbers of homes that we might be affecting, it seems like a fairly low number for the number of wood stoves that must be out there. In these 3 counties, especially in the mountains, there must be thousands of older wood stoves. Are there any future plans if folks can't make it on this particular list? We might be revisiting this, perhaps offering this kind of program again in the future?
We have hopes of being able to offer the program in the future, but there's a level of uncertainty there. The problem being funding, of course. Limited funds available. This program, we're taking funding out of our reserves, and from year to year, we don't know where our reserves are going to end up, but we're hoping that possibly next year we'll have some funding. It may not be as big of a piece as we have this year, but $20,000 is a lot of money, and we're lucky to even have that.
Okay. Well, we're going to talk a little bit in the second half about the town of Truckee's participation and where their money is coming from. Jeff, we've got some slides to show the audience, and I'd like to go to those now and kind of walk through some of the different stoves that you may have available, and again, kind of revisit what it's like to walk into the store, what people can expect to find in terms of merchandise. So if we can get those slides up on the screen, we can go to that.
Okay.
The first slide here is a beautiful home.
Beautiful home. Wood burning, gas, and or pellet are available in different styles. This particular picture is a built-in fireplace. It is an EPA product. It's a catalytic product, so it burns very, very cleanly. We do a lot of these in the Tahoe area, or Truckee, Tahoe area. This is available in a wood-burning version or a gas version.
And this again is a beautiful shot. What kind of BTUs can somebody expect from a fireplace like this? Is it really just for visual effect, or can they expect to get some heat off of that as well?
No, unlike the fireplaces of old, this one will produce as much as 75,000 BTUs versus a masonry fireplace that won't do much more than 25, 30.
Okay, that's great.
So,
It's a beautiful,
big difference.
beautiful installation there. All right, what is our next shot here?
This is the Fireplace Extraordinary Gas unit. Most of the gas product on the market is 40,000 BTUs in, and then of course it's changed by how efficient it is as to how much heat you get out. So they work very, very well.
Okay. All right, and again, a gas stove, you're not ever loading with wood or pellets. You've just got your little phony logs in there that look great, and
Right.
okay.
Right.
All right.
This is a freestanding gas stove. There's just a tremendous variety of them on the market. They basically all work alike. The technology, the gas technology, isn't anything new or that we've come up with. It's been in the furnace business for a lot of years. Obviously, with a freestanding unit, you're going to get a little bit more heat out radiant-wise because you've got all these surfaces being heated. So
right.
they heat much like a wood-burning product.
Okay. All
You
right.
just don't have to mess with them.
That's pretty.
Again, they're available in different sizes, shapes. This is a cast product by Vermont Castings, a smaller BTU unit. They're available anywhere from 20,000 to 40,000 BTU, so you can either zone heat, so that you're not, like back in the old wood stove days where you bought the biggest one you could do to try to heat the whole house. It's not practical. This zone heating makes a lot of sense, and it's very economical. Again, a different type of stove, Hearthstone, which is an old stove company. They've all pretty much come around and got a gas product that works extremely well.
You mentioned the older wood stoves. The wood stove that's in my living room currently is the size of an older Volkswagen Beetle. I mean, it really is huge. I'd love to participate in this change-out program. I'll have to talk to my landlords about that. Thank you for sharing those with us. It's nice to know that folks have some options there. They've got different choices. It's not just one kind of ugly stove that they have to look at. And on your screen now, what you're seeing are a couple of different retailers that are offering the incentive programs here and the rebates. You can contact them on the telephone number shown on their screen. And we also will show you a bit later on in the show a way to, or perhaps right now, a way to get information off of the internet. You can see there's an email address to get more information on other retailers in the area that are participating in this program. Jeff, thank you very much for being on the show. It was a pleasure having you.
Well, thanks for having me, Maya. It's always a pleasure.
Thanks. Rod, we'll see you on the second half.
All right, thanks.
And thank you for joining us. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a minute. Welcome back to the show. We're talking about the Great Woodstove Changeout Program, and on the second half of the show, we've got several guests. We've got Dwayne Hall from town of Truckee. Dwayne, welcome. Rod Hill comes back to the show for the second half. Welcome back.
Thank you.
And Josh Sussman, who is a town council person on the Truckee Town Council. Welcome to the
Thank
show.
you, Maya. Thank you for having me here.
Absolutely. All right, gentlemen, we're going to talk about some of the nuts and bolts of this program. And Dwayne, let's start with you. If somebody wants to do this, they want to participate, they want to change their old stove, get a new stove, they need permits, they need to know how to get on a list. What are the nuts and bolts here? What do they need to do?
Well, we try to keep the program as simple as possible, and so the first step is for the homeowner to go to the stove retailer and try to look at the variety of models of stoves and decide to purchase a stove. After they decide to do that, they need to come to the building department to pick up a building permit for the installation of the wood stove or the gas-fired stove, which is required by the town building code. And as part of that, there will be a form called the Town Stove Rebate form, which the retailer will fill out a portion and the homeowner will fill out a portion. And they bring that to the building division with their building permit application. And once their building permit is issued, then they are put on the Town Stove Rebate list, which kind of reserves those funds for them. As part of this, we are also waiving the building permit installation fee, which has a value of around $75. And the rebates from the town of Truckee is for a EPA Phase 2 stove or a pellet stove. The rebate is $100. For a gas-fired stove, it's $200.
We'll be talking in a few minutes about where that money is coming from. Now, Rod, what about your agency? Do people need to be contacting you separate from the permitting and functions of the town of Truckee?
That's correct. Our incentive program is almost entirely separate from the town of Truckee's. They should call the district at 274-9360 and ask for a rebate voucher. And that, as long as they last, you can get on our list. And even after their rebate vouchers run out, we're encouraging people to go ahead and replace their wood stove and get onto what we call a standby list, which we can use to, if any further funding becomes available, or if people end up not using their rebate vouchers.
Okay, so that's important to know that you're actually contacting two different entities here, dealing with the Northern Sierra Air Quality Management District as well as town of Truckee. If someone were to be purchasing, let's go whole hog, EPA 2 wood stove, replacing an old one, what kind of rebates or incentives are they looking at here? What's the dollar amount we can tag on this?
For an EPA Phase 2 stove, you're looking at the building permit fee waiver of $75, looking at a town rebate of $100, and if they qualify for the air quality district rebate, that's $250. So you're looking at a total of around $425.
Yeah, that's not hayseed.
Yeah.
That's good incentive. All right, Josh, let's talk a little bit, if we can, about how the town became involved in this and what was the town council's role.
Well, the council, during the general plan process, air quality was a major concern and a major element of the general plan. And watching the deterioration of Truckee's air quality over the last years, since the monitoring station has been put in, made it even more acute of a problem. And as Rod said in the earlier half, those contaminants are fairly harmful. So there was a number of options that were discussed as far as what was going to be done. At one point there was discussed about mandatory stove changeouts upon sale of houses, and needless to say, there's some elements of the community that were concerned about that. To see this as a first step towards a voluntary public participation with the help of the town government, the air quality district, to see that the community can actually look at this as a volunteer program to hopefully avoid possibility of future, let's say, legislation that mandates directives to help increase air quality. I think the council is very excited about it, to be involved with this and to be able to offer this, be part of this program.
Let's give some incentive and see if people can do it on
Absolutely,
their own first.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Now, on a previous show, we had talked about air quality or the lack thereof in our neighborhoods, and this show is actually a result of that first show. One of the things that we had talked about in that show was due to the Union Pacific merger and the town's proactivity with that merger, we were able to get $300,000 in air quality mitigation funds. I understand that the town of Truckee has put $25,000 of that $300,000 towards this change-out program.
That is correct. The council's authorized up to $25,000 in this program. Our calculations, depending on the type of stove, would be approximately 100 stoves, as compared to, say, the figure that Rod threw out in the first half of approximately 80 stoves based on their budget of 20,000. So somewhere between 80 and 100 stoves, we hope, will be changed in this program as a first step towards helping to clean up the air in the Truckee area.
That's a start. Dwayne, what about that other $275,000? Do we already have that budgeted for other uses, or do you think we might release some of that for more wood stove change-out?
Well, what we talked about on the previous Truckee Talk Show was a air quality management plan which is being prepared with the assistance of a Citizens Advisory Committee, and part of that plan would be trying to put together a financial assistance program for the future change-out of wood stoves and other methods to reduce particulate matter. And as part of that, we see the $275,000 that we got from the Union Pacific mergers being the seed money. And we are looking at a variety of financial assistance programs, including low-interest loans, rebates, a person be able to use this money for converting their home to natural gas or weatherization. So we're looking at a variety of methods, and hopefully by the end of this year, the beginning of next year, we'll have a permanent financial assistance program available.
Oh, that's great. So we might actually be looking at other, not just wood stoves, but other options for people
That's
to
correct.
keep that. And then, of course, there's the sand on the roads issue, but that's a whole other show.
Yes.
Rod, what are some of your funding vehicles? Where is your money coming from that you're able to rebate to customers?
The first $20,000 is just coming out of reserves. We have fairly healthy reserves at this time, luckily. And another $7,500 was donated by Sierra Pacific Industries for Plumas and Sierra counties, because that's where they have two lumber mills.
Right.
And so they're trying to give something back to the community. Those lumber mills have huge wood waste boilers, which of course are going to put out some smoke. Actually, they're fairly clean, but they want to give something back to the community, and so they've given a donation of $7,500, which means 30 more stoves, on a total of 110 stoves in our incentive program.
That's great. And now let me ask you the same thing that I asked Dwayne. Do you see in the future kind of reenacting this same rebate program, or?
Yeah, we really are hoping that in subsequent years we can continue on with some kind of an incentive program. We're not too sure whether the Hearth Products Association will be involved in those future events, but we're hoping that they will continue these kinds of things every year, and maybe we can start budgeting for it every year, but we don't know. There's no promises there at this time.
Okay. Josh, are you involved with the Citizens Committee for the air quality issues?
Not directly, no.
Okay.
When Dwayne was talking about the money that could be saved here, as an incentive of approximately $425 or more, that's in conjunction with the Hearth Association's incentives to their dealers to bring the discount levels down to their wood stoves. So the idea of all this public-private partnerships to actually create a leverage, the town alone, if it was a $200 savings, or if it was the air quality district alone for $250 savings, or 10 to 20% discounts at the wood stove dealer alone, the leverage of everybody working together, besides the $425 that Dwayne talked about, someone can conceivably look at $800 to $1,000, I would imagine, or more, depending upon the nature of the wood stove they were buying. So it's a great opportunity for people that are considering replacing their wood stoves to really look at this seriously.
Take advantage of it now.
Absolutely.
And hop on it. And speaking of taking advantage of it now, we really should be showing those telephone numbers again on the screen. Who to contact, either the Northern Air Quality Management District, or and that's to request a rebate voucher. Get on the list if the vouchers are already gone. And then also Town of Truckee, in terms of permits, we need to make sure that people know that they have to go through the proper channels, get their permits, make sure that they're doing it right. As well, there are 2 participating retailers here in town, and we have they have a website set up so that you can find out where additional retailers are. And gentlemen, while that's on the screen, I'd just like to say thank you all very much for being on the show today. This was really good information. We really do need to encourage people to get out there. This is a part of a much larger picture, but any of us on a clear winter day can go up to the summit and look down on our town and not actually see our
Yes.
town.
It's pretty
See that
obvious.
kind of brown murk, and this is a really great way to start incenting people to get out there and participate in cleaning up the air. So Rod, thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Josh, thanks for coming.
Thank you,
Have
Maya.
a great vacation.
Thank you.
All right. And Dwayne, thank you as well. This
Thank you,
is the
Maya.
second time on the show. You're just a trooper. We really appreciate you coming on the show. And again, thank you all for joining us here on Truckee Talks. Please do get in contact with the proper agencies here. This is a great program. We'll see you on the next show.